welcome back, y'all. Conscious Lamb here with another self-help topic. Today we're coming at you talking again about who can really stop us. Who can really stop us? Who's really stopping you? This is part 2. Check out part 1, Conscious Lamb on YouTube, or check out consciouslamb.com. Last time, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, I think we talked specifically about how kind of society is what it does hold us back, but we kind of settle with that answer. We kind of let that be our answer of what's holding us back, why we're not achieving what we truly want, our real dreams. But if you look deeper, if you really introspect about the issue, as we started to get into last time, you're really the only one that can hold you back. You're really the only one that holds you back. You know what I mean? You really can. You know, me, myself included, I hold myself back. You can really achieve anything you want. It takes a couple things. We're gonna talk about some things. I ain't got my notebook out here. Going back to where we left off. Cool, we hit that. So collectively, we take these answers and we kind of put it as an excuse of, you know, why not to achieve something, why not to go for something, but really it's ourselves, right? And some of these things that we're doing is still kind of on a collective. You know, a lot of the distractions, I feel like distraction is a huge problem in my society. Distracted by social media, mainstream media, video games, social life, family. Yeah, some families just a distraction, yeah. You know, but we also got like, dude, money chasing, you know, that could be your distraction. Porn, huge distraction. Addictions, I think addictions, it could be a whole different field. Like, that's on a whole nother level. But kind of, you know, taking it, you know, if you're peeling back the onion, going a step deeper than that, I feel like a lot of it's limiting beliefs. Just limiting beliefs about what you could do or what you can achieve. They definitely hold you back. They definitely hold you back in ways that you don't even see, because a lot of it's subconscious. You know, your limiting beliefs, like, you don't even question these things when they occur on the day-to-day. You just accept them as truth. And that's another part of the issue, is that, you know, you build this construct of the world in your mind. You know, we perceive through these 5 senses, like we talked about in the first one. And you build this construct of the world, and, you know, what you think is true, you really take to be true. But sometimes these are outdated beliefs. These are false beliefs, false reality. And it's starting to rain out here. But these things really got to be questioned, you know? And another thing I want to bring to the table is this. It's called natural individuation. Natural individuation. And it's basically the natural cycle of the psychological development. So, you know, you can see your bodily development as you grow through your age, but, you know, psychologists claim that your mind grows just as much, and I think that's pretty obvious, you know. And the natural version is usually rough and forceful because it's developing, but you're trying to hold on to things. You got to understand, you have a self-image, and, you know, this self-image doesn't like to be changed. The ego does not like change. It wants to stay the same. That's where it feels safe. You know, we always paint this picture of the ego like it's dangerous and it's negative, but really there's just negative aspects of it. And that's really what we got to look for and talk about, but it is necessary. You know, the ego is crucial for survival. So, you know, the ego is what kept you alive when you were a child, when your mom first let you walk around the block. Said, don't walk in front of that car. Mom said, nah. You know what I'm saying? So that's your ego. So it's necessary, but it's necessary to look at the negatives of it too. So we're trying to really construct this ego, this identity, all these. I got a couple quotes I want to read here. So self-image, first off, we'll go with self-image first. The idea one has of one's abilities, appearance, and personalities. So not the truth, not what you really are, the ideas you have of it. That's your self-image. I have the idea that I have a fairly large nose. Back in the day, this held me back because I was self-conscious of it. That's just an example. But now, dude, it's an average sized nose. It's really irrelevant. That's just my self-image, So your self-image, you can be holding yourself back in so many different ways, but it goes deeper than self-image, okay? Because you have an ego, and the ego goes deeper than just the self-image. Quote, the ego is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. So, your self-esteem is how you feel about yourself, and your self-importance is do you feel important to others? And that's crucial for just psychological health, just your mental health. You should feel important to people. I got a quote here. A part of the mind, the ego it's referring to, is a part of the mind that mediates between the conscious and the unconscious and is responsible for reality testing and a sense of personal identity. So getting back to how we see reality and our personal identity, this is all consistent. Self-image is a personal view or mental picture that we have of ourselves, describing the characteristics of the self, including things such as intelligence, if you're beautiful, if you think you're ugly, if you think you're talented, if you think you're selfish, if you think you're selfless, if you think you're kind, if you think you're an asshole. These are all parts of it. It's very widespread. You gotta get it all. You gotta get it all together. I wrote this down. I'm not really sure where this is gonna tie in, but I'm gonna add it. In. This is called psychoanalytical theory. The vision of the psyche that is conscious is responsible for our feelings of selfhood, most directly interacts with the external reality. So it is right there along with how we look at ourselves, our selfhood, and how we look at outside perspective, outside reality, not perspective, reality. The entire system of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors from which we interact with one another. Dude. The ego operates based on the reality principle, which works to satisfy the identities, desires in a manner that is realistic and socially appropriate. That's deep. Let me read it again. Ego operates based on the reality principle, based on your sense of reality, that principle, which works to satisfy your identity's desires in a manner that is realistic and socially appropriate. That is so deep in your subconscious, you never think about these decisions. But it's your self-image, it's your self-identity is making these decisions. These are huge decisions holding you back you don't even think about. This ego shit, it goes deep. And I'm gonna do a separate video on the ego. That's not even what I want to talk about. I just want to talk about how much it holds you back. But that is the base. When you get all the way to the base of what's holding you back, the ego is your answer. It's right there. All the negative aspects of it, you have to incorporate it. We're not even getting to the answers yet because it's deeper than this. Look, you can have scars out here. Real traumatic childhood, not even have to be childhood scars. They're traumas essentially that, you went through. Maybe you had a terrible boyfriend that just broke you down mentally, put his hands on you physically, you didn't feel safe, you didn't feel important, he broke you down. Okay, as you continue your life, you are going to hold on to that until you can integrate and work through that. So, that's just one example. Everybody has a life of traumas and, ups and downs that they have to deal with and integrate. It's not about who's been through more stuff. That's not what it's about. It's about what you've been through and owning that shit and working through it and integrating it. If you're burying it, it's just gonna come out in that natural individuation process. Is not fun. If it's forcing you to change, it's not gonna be fun. It's gonna be through, hard lessons. It's gonna be through tough times. I'm going through very tough times right now. I've learned so much the last couple weeks. I've been ready to shoot this video. I've been going through some of the hardest times of my life. And man, like, the perspective is just tough. It's tough. I'm not exactly enjoying it, but you know. So you have these scars, and it really, it could affect you so that you don't feel self-worth because of your relationship. That affects you with job interviews, you know, social environments, online situations, dating, everything. It affects you everywhere, and that's just one scar. Let's say you got a mommy issue too. Let's say you got a daddy issue too. Let's say, dude, everybody goes through something. And you got to be the adult to put your big boy panties on, own that shit, and work through it. Take control of your life. That's what I'm trying to do right now, man. That shit's hard. I'm not preaching to the choir. I'm right there with y'all. I'm out here working, stepping. But are you stepping? Are you? I look rough. I look rough out here. Man. Let's see if I got any more on here. Okay. Why must you do this if you don't want to go through the natural individuation process, the tough way of living? If that's not enough for you, you know, there's long-term consequences. We talked in the last video about all kinds of negatives of this society. Go back and watch that first. You should have chills. I got chills right now, and I already knew all this. All right? It all comes down to your self-deception, your perspective of life, and your social conditioning. And you got to become aware of that and change it, because you have old beliefs that you need to deconstruct. Okay? And that's the answer. The answer is the individuation process. Okay? And then after that, the self-actualization process is the ultimate answer. But you gotta come to terms with stuff that you've been through in your mental and why you do what you do today. That comes first. Then the rest comes. You know what I'm saying? There's levels to this development so that it all works. You know, we use Maslow's hierarchy of needs with this too. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta get your base level, your basic safety needs first. Then you go a little bit higher and you get your finances, and you start figuring out, you know, your relationships and your social circles and stuff. But then you really got to take the next level and go within and get in your mental. All right. So the individuation process, you know, just really becoming aware of your own psyche will be a huge step in just allowing yourself to achieve what you want. Because you got to understand, when when your ego is just running subconsciously all the time, you have no conscious awareness of it, it's just running your life, you're not going to allow yourself to achieve things. And I feel like that's where a lot of my hiccups have been. I don't allow myself to enjoy things a lot of times. And that's something I really got to work out. You got to allow yourself to succeed, because you're just going to stay where you're at right now, even if you don't like it, but it's comfortable. That is the ego. Because it doesn't know any better. It just knows what it knows. Which you probably don't like. You probably don't enjoy. That's all right. Get your material needs met. Introspect. Figure out your life purpose. Okay? Get rid of the bad habits. Get good habits. Get you a hobby. Positive hobby, you know, it kind of goes with the good habits. Dive into your shadow. And then the rest, I think it'll work itself out. I think you really just gotta get through your baggage, your BS, and then your life starts panning out. But until then, you're just moving so unconsciously that you don't know what's going on with life. You're just not conscious enough around it. You know, you talk to successful people, they all have a conscious head on their shoulders. I mean, you know, not conscious, but, you know, somewhat aware. I think I said everything I want to say in this video. I don't think I need to shoot a part 3. I want to talk deeper about the ego and really break down small components of it and just that whole thing, because we're just, dude, this motherfucker could take down the Titanic, okay? We're just hitting the little icebreaker, whatever the saying is. Tip of the iceberg. Peace, much love, and see y'all next time.